Welcome to I Heart Geek.
And welcome to another episode of I Heart Geek. I don't even know how to define this episode. This is a creator spotlight / a topic show. And this topic we are talking about, have you seen my red stapler? So we're going to be talking about office supplies, and of all the things to geek out about, I'm like, Satomi brought this to me, said, we got to do a show on this. I'm like, that's not geek. And then I'm like, I started looking at my collection of about 5,000 pens. I'm like, yeah, I think it is something to geek out about. So Before we introduce everybody, I'm Dub, and we have Satomi. Now, Satomi, can you introduce us to this amazing wealth of office geek knowledge you brought to us?
Well, first of all, I'm going to say this was not originally my idea. This was our wonderful guest's idea. And it is brilliant because we all actually, or at least a lot of those, I don't know. Can you pass up a Staples? It's hard for me, but we are so happy to have her on. She is a stage manager, a production stage manager who has stage managed productions. Wow, that's hard to say. All over the world. Don't you dare, I won't. All over the world. She's getting super excited to head back to Broadway, where she is production stage managing Jersey Boys, and they are reopening in November. And she's also a certified personal development and time management coach, and a super geek and a super friend to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kat West.
Yay! Not to be confused with Dog North. I'm sorry. I had to say that. Oh,
there's
never heard that joke
place
before,
in hell for you.
I love y'all too.
When I had my son, people were like, "Are you going to name him North by North?" I'm like, "No."
Oh God, no. Oh God, no.
But thank you. That make me sound so much fancier than I actually am. But thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, hey, listen, stage managers, y'all, they do so much and they do not get the credit that they deserve. So I'm going to give you the intro you deserve.
Thank you. Well, if this episode, people love the office supplies, I know lots of people secretly do, and it goes well. I guarantee you, stage management community will be like, let's do it. Let's do a forum. Let's do a thing. on the Book of Face and other places, we've got a couple different pages, as everyone in their own geek things do. Stage have their own, and literally things will go about mechanical pencils versus the Ticonderoga #2 that you took tests with pencils. What thickness of lead in your mechanical pencil? What type of
very important?
What kind of Post-its and whatever. It's all that kind of stuff. What's in your gig bag? Of those emergency things that you like to use. I have my little just desk set next to me that is just the thing that's on the table. That's just my stuff. I haven't used it for a while because pandemic and such. But I opened it up. I'm like, what's actually in here? There are 4 different kinds of little Post-it flags in here. There are 3 different kinds of pens, 3 different kinds of Sharpies, just this tiny little box. Tiniest little hand sanitizer in the world, because you have to.
And no one else can use any of it.
No, just mine. Tiny little Advil. 2 pretend rings, because whenever you're doing shows, inevitably you want to do something with a prop ring. They don't fit. They're just little rings that are just in there. Technically an office supply? Maybe for my office it is. Eyeglass kit. All different kinds of tiny little things that make people happy, just make people comfortable.
Okay, so let's jump right into this. Why can we consider office supplies a geekdom itself? Let's talk about this for a second.
Well, I guess it's how do you define geek? I think that for me, anything that people get into the minutia of with wild abandon that brings them joy. Yeah. It's something that is geek worthy.
I love that. Well, you have that wild abandon. That's exactly it. Yeah. And we talk about that on the show all the time. That we're going to cover anything that you're passionate about. And I was not joking when I was talking about it is hard for me to walk by a Staples, and there is a Staples in between Penn Station and my stage door that I have to walk past. And it's really hard sometimes.
Because it's like, especially when your life is chaotic and things are dirty and things are a mess, and you just kind of can walk into a Staples and just like, there's just colors and folders and neat things that like could make
Mhm.
my life better. Whether you actually get them or not, and it does make a life better or not, is choose your own adventure. But it's just like it feels like things could get put right
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
had enough Staples supplies with you.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll go into the specifics of it, and
Yeah.
I will probably talk about but I mean, it's something as simple as being able to okay, we do poster signings all the time.
Mhm.
We sign posters for the show, and having that perfect Sharpie that just flows versus the one that's like, I'm dying, I'm dry as a bone. And it's just having that brand new and you pop it open and it's just, it's heaven.
L
I'm having a moment.
Yeah.
I wanna hit this for a second because this as far as the office supply things, there's 2 things that I consider myself a super geek on.
Mhm.
One of them is pens, and the other is computers. I don't know if we can consider that into office supplies, but we'll get into the computer side later.
I
Let's
mean,
talk
it's a subcategory, but
let
totally.
let's talk pens for a second.
Mhm.
Now, let I have, and I put some thought into this today. When I buy a pen, it's got to be a gel pen. Just if it's just a writing pen, not a Sharpie. It's got to be a gel pen, and it's got to be 1.0 width. I don't like it if it's any smaller. I don't like if it's any bigger. I found out I obsess over it, and then I looked at my pens, and I have thousands of pens. I'm like, and they're all the same.
Yeah.
So
Are
let me hear what your guys' is like
are they
criteria.
here's my question. Are they click? Or are they not?
No, no, actually, I got them both.
Mhm.
I think I like the click better, but it's got to
Mhm.
have either the cap, the full cap,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
those look
That's
classier.
yeah, also gel too. You've
Yeah,
got
it's got to be the gel. But yeah,
yeah.
with the click, it's got to have that plastic at the front, and you get that first plastic click, and then
Mhm.
you're like, oh, and then you can start writing with it. I don't know why that speaks to me so much, but it really does.
Yeah.
So let me hear about your guys' like big your number one obsession with office supplies.
Oh gosh, that's so tricky. I mean,
That looks painful to you.
it's like picking your favorite child. My current favorite thing when I'm working is honestly a laminator. I love a
Oh.
laminator. I love laminating signs. I love making them pretty, coming up with things like for a friend of mine, his kid is deciding where to go to college, and he had a picture of his fridge door, and he had made with just printed out graphics and a laminator and little magnets like categories so that they could move the icons of the different schools around when she went waitlist to this to that, and I was just like, oh, it just made my little heart flutter. It was so beautiful. It was just to make signage. For we have to make a lot of signs, and especially if you're traveling with a show, every single place you go in a new theater, like different people have to get to different places and it's a different direction from the last time you went, and just like being able to create signage like that with a laminator. And I've done different things where like there's velcro on the end of the sign and you have independent arrows, and so when you put the signs up, the signs are the same, but you can move the arrow to whichever
Mhm.
direction it to point where it needs to go. Like
Mhm.
basically office supplies are wonderful because their design is to help you.
Mhm.
True,
They're
if you
they're
let
there
them.
they're there to help you. Unless they are a printer or a copier, they are there to help you. If
And
they're
then they're the
a
devil, yeah.
copier, then it's like office space, take it out into the field and beat it up time.
It's there to destroy your life and
Yeah,
convert into some sort of demon that's like, I'm here to mess up everything that you're trying to do.
yeah, but I think
Especially the more of a time crunch you're in, the more likely it will be out of ink, the more likely it will just stop communicating with your
Mhm.
Wi-Fi.
mhm.
Mhm.
I really think like there's for in the performing arts, local 802, whenever they have live musicians, they have to have contractually a librarian. The librarian is there just to make sure all the copies and printing and everything is their paperwork and their music organized.
Mhm.
If the stage managers are a part, and if they're if unless you're opera and agma, you're generally part of Actors Equity, which is the actors union that the stage managers are also a part of. And while that is getting better, it feels that way sometimes. I feel like if stage managers ever had their own union, they would have kind of like their librarian, but it would literally be their printer copier tech. Like on every show, they must have a stage manager. All they do is deal with the printing and the copying.
Like a
and
guitar tech, you'd have your own IT tech.
And kicking their machines and changing the ink and the freaking drum too low too soon situation. But yes, we need that is a position that needs to be and be glorified. You know, it's like be kind to your guitar tech, be kind to your printer copier.
The unsung heroes, really.
Yes.
Well, and you know, like finding things like I remember when in printer copier world they started to do reams of pre 3-hole punched paper binders.
Oh
Oh my gosh, like it was like you know, like Simba Lion King, it was like stage managers holding up reams of like boom, of like that paper, so you didn't have to hole punch for days. Scripts and scores and all that kind of stuff.
Yes. What happened to that? Why don't they do it anymore?
They do, but it's just not as prevalent anymore. But they do still have they'll sell 3-hole punch paper still.
Yeah, they'll just charge you twice as much for it.
They will, and
Yes,
then you
they
just
will.
and you don't have to have hole reinforcers for days. Another awesome thing that is in my little kit next to me right now is sheets of little hole reinforcers.
Which actually, I don't know if this counts as an office supply, but it's become, because it's kind of like the computer thing, but tablets, because I now carry most of my scripts on a tablet, so I don't have to worry about those hole ring reinforcers. And I actually, you know, because you can once they develop the technology to be able to notate on said scripts, it was like, oh, the angels sang, my life changed, and now we just need to get them super light. That's my next, like, clipboard light.
What would be ideal is if you have everyone with a tablet, and when they do script changes, like as you're working on a project, things change as you go. If they could like email out the changes to, and they would appear on everyone's tablets instead of, because often you have someone with a tablet, but then there's a script change and they're still walking around with a couple of sheets of paper in their hand. If there was a way to be able to send out the script change, but not lose your notation on your tablet, it's coming. It's like, you know.
Now, there's some music software that I use that, you know, I'll go play with people and we'll have everything in the chord charts, and then we're gonna change the chords, and the whoever's leading will change it, and then it changes on everybody else's tablet because it's all connected. So there's got to be the same kind of thing.
We're getting there.
Is the tablet going to kill a lot of the office supply geekdom? Because that's hardware that's taking all the paper. That's taking a lot of stuff out.
No, because I do want to talk about one of my favorite office supply geekdoms. I have many. Totally down with the pens, you know, totally down with all of it. But I am a journal fiend. And if you look at something like, let's talk about a big one, and that is Moleskine. Moleskine notebooks. You're looking for yours right now. I can tell.
I have like 5 of them.
I can tell. And they're all over the entertainment industry. I mean, if you look, so many directors, Tim Burton is famous for carrying them around. They're directors, actors, whatever, because it's just a quick way to organize your thoughts, put them in there. So I love me a Moleskine, but I also love, I mean, I've gotten it to the point, because I'm very particular about my pens. So I've gotten it to the point where I just have a small collection of pens, a small collection, and they are all clicky ones, because it's like the ASMR kind of thing. It's like that satisfying. It's the best. Oh, it's the best. But what I have tons of are notebooks and journals. You know, because I've got the one that I'm, you know, working on this one project on. I've got the one that's just for my thoughts. I've got I
love the leather stuff. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
it's a thing.
Because our world's getting more and more digital, the more tactile some things can be, the better. And also some people's brains, like for me, I need to write stuff down, and then I would need to put it typed because I have the handwriting of a serial killer. No one can read my
That's
handwriting.
creepy. Okay, thank you.
No one can
Thank
read
you.
it. I have been told as such. You like when people are like, just write me a note. I'm like, you don't want me to do that. But for
Just
my
slip every once in a while, slip
It shows up in an FBI database. I'm just saying, it's
Right?
scary.
but like people, there are studies also that like if you're trying to commit something to memory, writing it down physically, the act of physically writing it down helps solidify it in your memory. So I think that that kind of stuff will never go away. Just like I don't think hard print books will go away. I do love my Kindle. I love it for the train. I consider that almost an office supply as well. But like I like the tangible book.
Yeah.
I like turning
Like
the page.
comic books and all that. Yeah.
I like coming back to my bookmark. Oh, there's my spot.
Yes.
There's where I left off with this
And the
great
smell of a book. Oh my
and
gosh.
a bookstore. Yeah.
Yeah.
So things like that. It's similar to like you walk into a Staples. It has a very distinctive smell.
Yes, it does.
It has that 10 fresh glue post-it flag smell.
Yeah. Oh, the Post-it.
Post-it
Where
flag.
would we be without the Post-it?
Originally created, I think, for to go into space for like astronauts.
Shut the front door. Really?
I believe so. I could be wrong. Someone's going to Google that and go, she was wrong. But I think
Put it in the
Get
comments.
used to it.
Let us
That happens
know.
all the time. Yeah.
yeah. People want to be geeky about fun facts. They can do that. But yeah, I think it was originally something that was created for astronauts, and it didn't end up like either the glue was not right or whatever didn't do what they wanted it to do, and then it kind of got taken over by the people in the office, and they loved them, and then it kind of spiraled out from there. But one of I think my favorite go-to like low tech, because there's the high tech office supply, which would be the laminator or the computer or your tablet or whatever, and then there's
3D
low
printer.
tech stuff. A 3D printer.
Yes.
I'm keeping waiting for that to poor set designers who make models. Like whenever you do a show, the set designer will make a model and just like they could probably 3D print a lot of that stuff. But it kind of takes away the fun out of their little stick figure people or really chiseled furniture sometimes. It's this and that and the other. My favorite low tech one is the Post-it flag though. I love the Post-it flag.
Oh yeah.
And my favorite thing is I carry a paper, like very papery ones, usually in my wallet. And before the days where you had
in your wallet.
In my wallet, and I'll tell you why, is because before the days of tab where you could, when you were going out to dinner with friends and you could do tab and like split the check that way.
Yeah.
I always used to keep those and when you were giving it like 4 or 5 cards to the poor server who was serving you, I had Post-it flags and a pen, and I would have people write the amount on a flag and stick it on their card, and then we'd hand her a bunch of cards, and their amount was already on the card, so she didn't have to write down or remember whose card, what. And they were the poor servers were so happy, and it was just it's simple. It was 2 simple office supplies: a pen and a little thing of Post-it flags.
That is genius.
Now let's move a little bit into, because everyone always wants to talk about the entertainment side of things. So let's talk about some of the more famous office supplies that are in entertainment. And I made mention to one of them. Where's my red stapler? Office Space, which I mean that movie is kind of a love letter to office geeks.
Well, let's first of all, I own a swingline stapler.
Is it red?
It is not red, and
you couldn't buy it. That's why
you couldn't buy it. It was not. They did not produce red staplers until after the film, and the red stapler is their highest selling stapler. And the fact of the matter is, it's a great freaking stapler.
It is. It is the best stapler.
It's so good.
Mine is blue, and I've had it for decades, and it's freaking. They're the best staplers.
Yep. Mine is black, and I have as well. Like I got mine from my first office gig out of college. If that tells you how long it's been.
A year and a half.
That's right.
Yes, exactly.
You're welcome.
I have tried to make the transition to the staple-less staplers, the ones that they punch out a little bit of paper, and then that paper folds itself over and sort of hooks into itself. And
it just depends upon the width of your paper how successful it is.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's really, and they do wear out. Those blades do wear out, and then suddenly you've just got loose. And so Alas, even though I'm very environmentally conscious, I am back to the tried and true because, and it's again, it's that we're gonna go that ASMR thing, that satisfying kunk,
Mm-hmm.
kunk, kunk, kunk. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
kunk, kunk. I should have brought some of them up with me so I could just put them in my microphone and give
And
you all a
honest,
little bit of a
if you work in an
sampler.
office, you'd think you'd hate these sounds, but there's something, even if it's a job you hate, it's something that's so comforting about those little sounds that we just get used to. And
It has to.
I think that's where the passion comes with the office supplies. It's just that there's like a memory, and it may be the crappiest job, but you had moments and those little clicks or that feel of a pen across a piece of paper, that right type of paper, that right color, that right smell that really turns it into a geekdom. It's not. I don't.
Totally.
I don't think it's necessarily it's the stuff. It's the great. You have a nostalgia for it.
It made me think of I used to be a company manager at New York City Opera back in its Lincoln Center heyday, and we have to deal with company managers have to deal with the three pieces of paper that people have the most self worth attached to, which is contracts, paychecks, and tickets. And
Ooh.
I was sorted paychecks, all the chorus, all the dancers, all the different
Mhm.
unions and whatever. And one of my favorite office supply was just this tiny little rubber, like almost like finger cozy to go to flip down through papers really fast.
Do
And
those
just
work?
yes, and it's a little rubber nub little thing on your finger, and just I remember using it, and it saved my butt, kept me from getting paper cuts, all
Mhm.
those kind of things that could get me through paychecks quickly when you've got a chorister at your door who's being snarky and just like, here, take your darn check.
Nice editing. Good
Go,
job.
go good and go do Carmen for the 500th time. But just like you find those little things that bring you joy. You're trying to focus on whatever you're going to do and
Mhm.
whatever that is. And it could be there's also like I have my favorite Star Wars because I'm a Star Wars geek also. Like
Oh,
favorite
outstanding.
little like Star Wars geek mug that is just you find those like coffee mugs too. It can be an office supply table, just like it's the right weight. It has the right it holds the right amount of liquid. It keeps it warm
Mhm.
enough or cool enough or whatever enough for you to help you do your job that much better. Like
Yep.
I always just think office supplies are friendly things.
Another thing that I really geek out about are organizers. And I
Mhm.
mean for anything.
The old
You know,
filofaxes. Oh my gosh, are amazing.
biofaxes?
I
Filofaxes.
Filofaxes. I was
I'm
like, "Good
I'm
grief,
I'm
what?"
feeling really old right now. Those were like
I know
big in the 80s. But
I know
you'd put your
exactly what you're talking
credit
about.
cards in there, your schedule, you have to
Mhm.
rip out the pages and put in new ones all the time. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that organizes.
It's
That's the
so
beginning of it.
satisfying. And I don't mean, so your calendar your paper organizers, but also like a really good pen and pencil cup. Like I agonized over buying my last pen and pencil cup because I wanted something that I could put my pens in one spot, my pencils in another, and then this I'm music geek, my guitar picks in another little spot so they wouldn't end up at the bottom of my pencil cup and I couldn't find them when I needed them.
Mhm.
And, or like I don't know if y'all have gone shopping at we're just one big commercial. Muji.
I've never heard of that one.
Oh, it is
Yeah.
a Japanese run. It's essentially like if the Japanese got their hands on the Container Store and made it like a little boutique store. And I've become a big fan of the acrylics because you can see what's in there.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And there's something so satisfying. Like I mean, my makeup kit I use because in the show I'd have a lot of makeup. I've got a lot of brushes. I've got a lot of specialty stuff in there. I use office organizers for all of my makeup and for my brushes and things like that because then it takes the pressure off of my brain
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
that I can focus on the task at hand instead of all of the extraneous blah.
Right.
You like my self-editing?
That was cute. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You wanna spell that later? Mhm.
No, not even a little bit.
No, but like having the right and it's having the right little cases that open and close and click and it's there and just like you can look in one thing and you're like not trying to find the favorite pencil or pen. It's
Yeah.
in the same spot, you know.
Now, something else I find kind of interesting with the office supplies stuff. once you're out of high school, I feel like it's not kosher anymore to add your geekdoms to your office supplies. Because I feel like it always has to be more professional. So if you have a Doctor Who something on there, it better be really, really understated. But you notice there's never anything that's just like really in your face as far as our other geekdoms in office supply. And I don't know if that's part of the charm or not.
Environment. I think it depends upon your environment. Because there were certain offices where I think that is totally okay and encouraged, especially if you were in the back room of a customer service, whatever. People just need to let their geek flags fly because they've just dealt with ornery people, and now they get to go back and pick up their Hufflepuff notepad, just write about it. That's fine. If you're in a fancy, more frontline place or whatever, then it becomes a little bit streamlined. And there's something zen about that too. If you're in an office environment that's like a Muji designed environment where everything is clean lines and whatever, there's something beautiful about that too. I did think it depends upon what serves you and what project you're on.
I think we need to advocate for the fancy geekdom in office supplies. You know what I mean? Because I think I will say the Harry Potter franchise has done pretty well about creating items that really can read professionally, and they're understated. Not all of it.
I disagree.
Not all
but
of
that's
it.
okay.
Not all.
It feels a bit gaudy to me.
It's just easier to find than other things like that.
Yeah.
If you can also do that high-end Disney
and
stuff.
high-end Disney,
like really subtle mouse stuff that you.
I also just went to the Harry Potter store, the Harry Potter store in New York, and so they have a slightly larger.
We got to talk afterwards. I don't even know anything about that. Oh my gosh!
You didn't see my post? Oh my gosh!
Oh yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Okay,
but,
okay,
we need to talk more.
There's a dragon in this store.
I forgot to talk.
It's fabulous. Yes, it's all. Oh, not a dragon. There's a snake in the ceiling, and all kinds. Anyhow, I would like to advocate for some more of those subtle things. Not because I don't want my geek flag to fly. I want to be able to express it elegantly. Like it doesn't have to, where it doesn't have to be a graphic tee. I mean, I'm proud to wear my graphic tee, but wouldn't it be nice to be able to go to an evening of the theater and have something that in TARDIS blue that very clearly to those of us who know the show and love the show would recognize it, and anybody else would be like, wow, that's really nice. I know there's some rugs out there that they do that with, where
Ruggable has a whole Star Wars collection, and so we clicked on and look at them, like we cannot have a real rug in our house until our child is potty trained, so we've got about a year to do. We can go back to a real rug again. We were actually looking at them because some of them are very overt, but some of them are really subtle patterns, and it's kind of like the if you know kind of situation. There's something fun about that. It's almost like a secret handshake.
You can get one for backstage though, because then it would definitely be considered an office supply.
That's true.
That it's a tax write-off.
Yeah.
Just
let's talk about now. I don't have a brand. Oh gosh, words fail me suddenly. I don't have a brand that I love.
Podcast,
yes. Yeah. It's perfect when people are listening. Sorry, guys. But chairs.
Oh gosh, yes.
Huge.
This is something I'm dealing with right now. Oh my gosh. No, seriously. I want to get rid of my office chair that I have now because it's old. And I'm debating, do I want to get a nice office chair? Do I want to get a gamer chair? Because gamer chairs are now kind of really acceptable, especially for what we do. But I do professional stuff on here, so I don't know. I'm fighting with myself because I'm like, I want to express, but I have, obviously, you look at my background, I have plenty to express my geekdom. So I don't know if they're more comfortable. I don't know if they're better. So help me out, guys. What chair do I want?
My favorite office chair that I ever had, it's just making people go meh, is also it was a very tight office. Is one of those ones that was a kneeler chair that it's just the booty and then the two things for your
I've had one of those for mixing. Yes, those are great.
It was my favorite office chair I've ever had. It was never uncomfortable. I could sit in it when I was tired. I could sit in it when I was alert or awake. It didn't matter. Just like it put you in a really great physical position. And I scooted around that office like nothing.
Oh, was it on wheels?
So yeah, it was a rolling chair.
Oh, that's cool.
And it just was an angled seat, and then it was two things that went right for your shins, and you like kind of sat in a kneeled position, and it made your back straighter.
Uh-huh.
And
Mhm.
I just because every time people would come into our tiny office, they would just hit the back of my chair. I'm just like, I'm over this. What else can I do?
No,
Yep.
then they
And
just hit your head, you know. Hey.
yeah, that was different days. But it was, I mean, that was the most comfortable chair I had. I've seen a lot of people do yoga ball chair. Have you seen this?
Yes.
No.
It's a chair, it's like a chair base with wheels and a back on it, but it's a yoga ball. And they kind of just bounce on that yoga ball.
I
as
think
they're-
just the ball that people are
Yeah.
using in a lot of offices. Like,
Yeah.
that's fun for like an hour.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that permanently. I was surprised. I thought that the kneeler chair was someone else was getting rid of it. I'm like, this is gonna last me a week. This will be a fun experiment. And I kept it for like, I think until I was out of that office, which was like a year and a half later.
Wow.
It was surprisingly comfortable. There's one that's advertised right now that's this crazy chair that you can put in all kinds of different positions. There's like a back and then sides that you
It's
can
called
like
the lazy boy.
Yes.
leg out or kind of sit with your legs crossed or whatever.
Yeah.
And you can change it around. So I guess if you're
But they are prohibitively expensive.
of course they are.
You know, and it's
I ain't paying more than
it's a great
$200 for a
concept.
chair. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, we're talking in the and there I
Yeah.
mean we're talking in like the thousands. It is prohibitively expensive.
Yeah.
It's I want to say it was like in the like the 1100, 1200 range. Might be
Yeah.
even more.
It's like a status symbol chair. That's
Yeah.
just like when you have kids, you get there's the baby gear and the baby gack. You could totally do a whole thing on that, I swear. But there's one thing that's called like the snoo. Okay.
Gesundheit.
It's right? It's a bassinet and you can zip the kid in because swaddling is a thing. And it's you set different programs. It's almost like massage chair for babies where they like the baby goes this way and that way and vibrates and whatever and it helps put the baby back to sleep. Now that is wonderful for anyone who's gone through that and like you never sleep the same way again. That's great, but it's prohibitively expensive.
Yeah.
It's
You
like
know.
it's like I love you, kid, but I can't. I want to pay for
Now,
your
what I want to
can't
know,
pursue.
is do they make an adult size version of that? Because I might put a down payment on one because that sounds wonderful.
Should I feel like I will have arrived if I have one of those inversion tables. Have you seen those things?
Yep.
Mhm.
I've used them before.
Oh my gosh. I used one. I was staying with a fancy friend who had one of those things. And I wanted
Fancy means rich. I'm sorry.
correct.
Mhm.
Fancy friend who like had one of those things and just like if you need me, I'm just going to be here. It was the most comfortable, relaxing thing of being on that little chair.
Oh
So
man.
you will have
Oh man.
arrived. I don't even need a hot tub in my life. I need an inversion chair. I
So,
need
so, so Tommy, I want to hear. Let's hear your vote for what chair would you pick?
Well, good. I don't know. I love that we've been talking about this because I grew up in the land of hippies. So I had friends
You had
who
a beanbag.
those, uh yeah, no, actually I had one of those blow up chairs. And then we had a lot of papassans.
I
That
was going
was
to say
sort of the
Papa
thing.
Sun chair.
A lot of papassans, which are really comfortable when you're in it, but getting out of it, oh my God,
Like a
you need
hanging chair. Yep.
you need a winch. But yeah, I usually end up in a straight back chair just because growing up as a pianist, it's like your positioning is always that your sits bones are right on the edge of the chair so that your abs are doing more work than your back. And so I always end up just with a old school straight back because every time I'm in like one of those fancy ones, I'm like, I'm gonna die. But now you're making me want to get one of those ergo chairs because that sounds like that's it always looks cool. You always look fancy when you're in them. And yeah, I think I'd be down with it. I think I'd be down with it.
You might be able to do like a reasonably priced office chair, but they get one of those really amazing like booty cushions, those like kind of split ones that kind of
Mhm.
stacks yourself
Uh-huh.
correctly.
Uh-huh.
Like back pillow
Yes.
situation. Because
Yeah.
that's the only downside about the less expensive office chairs is feels like you need to add accoutrements to them if you're going to be sitting in there for
Like a
long.
mustache?
Yeah.
Oh,
Maybe
sorry.
a
not?
little bowler hat would be delightful.
I have one.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this. We've been kind of all over the board on office supplies now, and a lot of people, by the time they've gone through this, they realized, oh, I am kind of a geek for this stuff. Let me ask you guys what you think. What would be your ideal thing to say? You know what? If you want to get into the office supply stuff, what you should collect is
Mm.
And it has to be something that's cool looking, and not just because the pens, because I love them because they're all the exact
Right.
same. So that's not really collectible. What would you collect from the office supply world for that, that geek cred?
I mean, I know a lot of people who collect different kinds of fountain pens. Like, it's not
Those are
just
big
fountain
now
pens.
too. Yeah.
Like fountain pens, ink wells. I've seen a lot of people with, they have like the ink well and the pen is glass.
I was actually going to say the glass dip pens because I
Glass dip
have
pens are
a small
really
collection of those. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like writing with them? Be honest.
No, they're terrible.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
terrible to
They
write
look
with.
cool as heck, but I'm like,
But then there's like
That's
there's calligraphy pens also.
Yeah.
It just depends on, it's hard to pinpoint of this, like, you should start collecting X, because the cool thing about it, as opposed to like different areas of geekdoms, like if you're a sci-fi fan or you want to get into sci-fi, you start this, or if you want to get into comic books,
Mhm.
you start here. If you want to get into office supplies, it has to be like, well, what's your project though? What are you working on?
Yeah.
Because then you can get really into it more. Like for example, like pens are wonderful, but for me, I am more pencils, just because of how much I have to write and erase and change, and everything changes on a dime.
Are you a mechanical pencil or you're a Ticonderoga? Because I'm a big Ticonderoga fan.
I love the
I cannot
Ticonderoga for
stand mechanicals.
others. I love the Ticonderoga for others, but over the years of trying out, I have like the twist erase. It is 0.9. The lead must be 0.9. If it is smaller than 0.9, I will break it like crazy.
Is that a number 2, or what is that the equivalent to? Do you know?
I'm not sure, but there's
Just
like
curious.
different thicknesses of mechanical pencil, because there's the plastic kind that you can get in the 10 pack that's like different colors, and they're big and they have a little eraser at the top.
Yeah.
That lead is just like, you might as well rewrite with a needle. It just breaks
Mhm.
in a second. This is very, very thick lead because I'm a very, very hard writer. I'm just like,
You're a passionate writer. That's the correct word.
Thank you.
You're
Yeah,
a passionate writer.
I'll take that.
Now-
But it doesn't click, but it does twist. The eraser twists up and down, which is delightful. But like,
Nice.
I don't want to take blocking to write down like where people move on the stage in the show, like without my mechanical pencil. I have it labeled with my label maker. It says my name. Do not steal my pencil.
There's another one, label makers.
That label makers
Yeah.
are delightful, but they
If-
must be the split back though. If you're getting label makers and label maker tape, there's the kind that is just the flat back, like normal. You want the tape that is split down the middle. It's much easier to get the backing off to stick it on things.
Mhm.
I learned that the hard way.
Mhm.
I still have a couple pieces of like, I have a tiny little one in my kit from the film I just worked on. We were labeling people's microphones.
There you go.
I have a little Bob Gaudio one from Jersey Boys. Still
I will chime in on the pens and mechanical pencils because they do produce a ton of waste. So this is going to be my public service announcement moment. They produce a ton of waste, especially if you are in a position to reuse your mechanical pencil. A lot of them you can purchase refills for both the erasers and the lead. However, a lot of these disposable ballpoint pens, if you can avoid them, awesome. If you can't, take a look online. There are several pen recycling programs out there, because when it comes to pollution, they are the devil. They make our lives so much easier, but it's bad news bears, you guys. It's bad news bears. Even if you're not a huge environmentalist, just think about the next time you want to go to a beach, if you want to really be stepping on one of those or seeing a turtle with one of them up their noses.
Right.
So, or there's programs that, your offices can get into, and thus endeth the soapbox. So
yeah, there's green alliances for office supplies, and Broadway has a Broadway Green Alliance, so there's binder recycling and all that kind of stuff.
So let me jump off of that for a sec, because I do have a question. I'm not trying to change the subject. Well, yeah,
No, do it.
With the pencil thing. Okay, the pencils, and there is a pencil I've been looking for literally since 8th grade. I had it once, and I loved it. And it's a mechanical pencil. It's got like the grabby thing on it, and the lead is like super thick. And I don't know the name of it. I've been looking for it since I was in junior high, and that was a lot of years ago. Spoiler, I'm old. So I'm trying to find if anybody knows what that pencil is called.
It's a
mechanical, but it's not. It's got the grabby tip, and it just kind of, but the ink or the lead is really thick.
Interesting.
I don't know if somebody might have some knowledge for me.
Oh,
Maybe
Put it in
maybe
the
one of our
comments.
listeners knows what it is. Are
Maybe.
you? Is it thick like crayon thick, or is it?
It's not
thick
crayon
like,
thick. It's like it's thicker. I don't know if it'd be a number 3 or a number 4 pencil. I guess.
Okay.
It's a little thicker.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
All
it's,
right.
it's kind of like how I like my 1.0 ink. It's kind of the
Right.
same thing for the.
Should look into drafting pencils. Research drafting pencils.
Oh
It might be a
yes.
drafting pencil.
Yes. Yes.
Because those are the great. That's the great thing. If you find mechanical pencil for you, you can replace the lead and the erasers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It is environmentally friendly. Because even though Ticonderogas are great, wooden pencils are great, the sharpening is annoying. And
Oh my God.
once
Yeah.
once it gets down to a certain point, people just don't want to use it anymore and will take a new one. And that's also
You didn't know me in high school.
You were one of those ones where it was like a nub.
Oh, I was cheap. Yeah, I would be using when I'd be holding the metal part.
the metal
but
little
still
ring.
writing with it.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, but I bet if you like Google image drafting pencils, I think you might find that one.
The one
I'm
you're
tempted
looking
to do it now,
for.
but I want to have my concentration on the show. So,
All right.
so
Now-
what? Oh, go ahead. Stone.
Well, I was
Define-
just going to say, speaking of things that are wasteful that I still love, there is nothing better than really great tape from a really great heavy tape dispenser.
Yes.
I hate all tape. I don't know why.
Really, like there's nothing sadder to me than really crappy tape that
Mhm.
like tears all the wrong ways, you
Mhm.
know, and like you have to like you're like peeling off the edges to get it going. You know, really
We turned into
lightweight
coffee
that when
talk,
you
okay,
we
yeah.
turned into coffee talk. It happens. And you know, you pull on the tape and the whole flippin' dispenser comes with you. I like the one that you can hear the sand in there. And
Mhm.
it's it's
Gotcha.
essentially like a construction bucket that
Yeah.
you've managed to stick your scotch tape in. It's it's so satisfying.
I made when we were doing the film this summer. I was shooting a film, and I made a. what we
Can you
call-
tell us which film, or is that not allowed?
I mean, I can now. It's the Jersey Boys film, and we filmed the theatrical production, and we set it up in Cleveland, and we filmed this beautiful. Pulled out all the stops and all the toys and everything with amazing cast, and it's going to be beautiful. Hopefully, it'll come out by Christmas, or at least we'll know when it'll come out.
And can we get you on
That's,
right before that, and we can talk about it before?
Yeah, I'll talk about the film because talk about tape. I mean, there's all different kinds of tape on a film set to try to and a theatrical set to try to do different things. Tape that needs to stick where you need to stick it, but it also needs to rip up easily because it's an environment that's going to go away. I had made for my stage management team spike sticks. It was like basically like a foot long wooden dowel, and we had like every 10 colors of that we had to spike different things to be put in different places, and I had the interns wrap an inch worth of spike tape down the line, so you could just, instead of carrying all these rolls around with you, you just had a stick on your belt, and they'd tell you what color you want, and you just ran over and went and just like ripped off things and did it.
I'll buckle out of that, and it'd be amazing.
It was cool. I mean, the other things they have is spike tape corners, which are expensive, but they're pre-cut L shapes. Like whenever you spike things on a set, usually like it's a chair, you use 2 L's to indicate where the chair should be. And the pre-cut spike corners, you don't have to like make 2 little pieces of tape work. It's just an L that goes, or little X's that are pre-done.
That is so another show we need to do with you. We need to talk about the whole set and stage design stuff. That is fascinating stuff, but we're really getting out of.
It might be. It honestly might be fun if you guys had like a member of each kind of department. There's like a set person.
We're trying to.
Sound person.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely trying to do that.
What is their favorite things about how that works?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my best tape dispenser I ever had was this actually novelty one that someone gave me that was an otter, but it was filled with sand and it was super heavy, and like his little paws held the tape, and there's a little blade at his feet, and he eventually died after much use. But it was he was.
You ought to replace that.
Worker.
Oh, Job. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Maybe for Christmas I can name him Emmett Otter.
That kind of made my day. And this conversation, I feel like could go on for another hour, but I can't let it because this is we set kind of that time limit.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Kat, can you tell us how people can get a hold of you and stalk you and talk about office supplies with you?
Sure. Talk about office supplies or any geeky toddler mom stuff, though, because those are my two jams right now. You can find me on Instagram, and it's KWestNYC. So first initial, my last name, NYC, or Quest NYC if you fancy.
K is not for Kanye.
K is not for Kanye. No.
It's Miss Jackson if you want to get. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Oh man, I'm just on a roll today. I apologize.
Yeah, you are. Jeez, you're really living the dad joke.
It
That's
happens
okay.
from time to time.
It does. It does. I sort of enjoy it.
Honestly, dad jokes is a whole nother thing.
Dad jokes is a whole
that is a whole amount of passion to me.
Yeah. You could have my hubby on. He's the king of dad jokes.
We'll let you guys talk, and Kat and I will sit in the background and just groan.
And it makes me happy. The louder the groan, the better.
A laugh track. It's a groan track.
Yes.
No laugh.
So that was a show, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today, Kat. Thank you so much, Satomi. Check us out on the websites, www.iheartgeekshow.com. Use the com. We paid extra for it, and all that other stuff we have, Instagram and Discord and Twitter and everything. We're on everything. We're everywhere. iHeart Geek Show. Yes. And until next time, I'm Dub. I'm here with Satomi. I'm here with Kat. Keep on geeking on, guys.
You have been listening to the latest episode of the iHeart Geek Show. Make sure you visit our website at www.iheartgeekshow.com. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you check us out on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And keep on geeking on to all of you geek rock stars.